again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Monday night pit stop. It is, of course, the F1 Fan Show live. We want plenty of you guys and girls in the chat. Get active. Lots of news, breaking news today, obviously coming in. So we'll kick the show off with that. We've got a live link should you want to get involved and have your say on the news that is Valtteri Bottas going to Alfa Romeo next year. So, links in the chat. Get involved. If you're watching this back on catch up or listening back, leave a review, 5 stars. And if you're watching it back on YouTube after we've gone live, then please do let us know what you feel about the breaking news. But I'm not gonna play his intro tonight. I'm gonna bring him straight in because Steve, breaking news. Obviously today you texted me. Explain to the guys and girls what the news is, what it means, and we'll bring Neil in and we'll have a good debate about it.
I think one of the worst kept secrets in Formula One has finally been put in motion. Valtteri Bottas going to Alfa Romeo confirmed today, which I saw as I was unpacking my shopping following a lovely visit to Asda.
Other shops are available.
Absolutely, of course. I'm not here just to promote them. Yes, so on a multi-year deal as well. So he's obviously got good plans for the future. And he's obviously seen something at Alfa Romeo. He's worked with their team boss before. So there's obviously something that's caught his eye there.
Absolutely. The fact that they could offer him a job and McLaren may be wanting to move on from him. Adam, talking about the possibility of Albon going to Williams would be more in depth than anything that happened in the race. Bit of a bore fest, to be honest. Absolutely. I'm in the studio again. I certainly am, Matt Stannard. Evening, guys. Adam, you good? Patrick Mine. After Bottas tried to steal the fastest lap in the last Grand Prix.
Yeah. That was good. That was good.
Hamilton has called him his best teammate ever, hasn't he?
He has. And I think we all know the only reason he's called him his best teammate ever is because he's been a complete lapdog to him for 5 years.
It's hard to argue with that one.
That 3 of Hamilton's other teammates, obviously excluding Heikki Kovalainen, who was a very good driver, but still not up to the standards of Fernando Alonso, Jenson Button, Nico Rosberg. He's going to say Bottas because he keeps Bottas happy, and he's been a complete lapdog.
Yeah, he hasn't pushed him anywhere near as much as, say, George Russell you would think would do if he becomes the driver, or other drivers that you've been mentioning off air. Who do you feel, before I bring Neil in, just so I can see Neil's sort of adjusting his camera and getting himself ready. You can see who the late one was, Steve.
Of course. Okay.
Who would you say was his best thing? Because in truth.
I think if Hamilton's best teammate, if you're going to go on results, it's probably going to be Nico Rosberg, but Fernando Alonso, I think.
From a fan perspective, because they pushed each other quite difficult, quite far.
Nico, I think, from a fan perspective, because that was the time they were teammates at the time when Mercedes really started to become the team they are now, and the dominant force at the start of the hybrid era. So those 2 were always sharing the top 2 steps of the podium. They fought for the championship for 3 straight years before Rosberg retired after he won his. So I'd say, to be fair, probably Rosberg, because of just in terms of the actual championship fights. We only got 1 year of Hamilton and Alonso. But to be fair, Adam, that comment down there, Jenson, 3 years together with Jenson, and Jenson actually outscored him over their time together. So...
Does the fact that it's a multi-year deal surprise you a little bit, or is that what you expected Bottas to be commanding once he left McLaren?
I did think it would be a multi-year deal because he's not an old guy. He's 32, so he's 10 years younger than Kimi Raikkonen, who's obviously leaving the team at the end of the year. Alfa are a team who want to build sort of a foundation going forward. You've got this rule change next year. They're going to want a driver who can take them forward and be in it for the long haul. And I think that's good because Bottas is going to be keen to sort of rebuild himself as a driver as well. Yeah, and
he's going to familiarity, isn't he? Because he's going to a guy that boss Fred,
Frederick Vasseur.
That's it. But he's raced with for F3 and GP3. Let's bring Neil in on this breaking news today. Valtteri Bottas. Welcome in, Neil. What do you make of Valtteri Alfa Romeo official?
It's great, isn't it? It starts moves elsewhere.
Absolutely.
It starts that pendulum swinging, and then the dominoes will fall where they fall. So, first of all, I suppose we should probably speak about Bottas, as we have done there with Steve. Multi-year deal. Is Romeo
I
the right
know.
team?
I know he was pushing that he wasn't going to go anywhere unless it was at least 2 years.
Hmm.
And yeah, Adam picked up on you said McLaren. You meant Mercedes.
I did. I certainly did. But I don't know what I said, to be fair. It's a lot of these shows go by in a blur. I'll be honest. I'm reaching into a mind a part of the mind that I don't often have to use because obviously Ipswich Town is second nature. But multi-year deal. Go on.
I know there was question marks over if Giovinazzi was going to keep his contract or whether he was getting replaced.
Mm-hmm.
If he did stay, you'd see how good Bottas is because how Raikkonen did against Giovinazzi.
Mm.
Yeah. He's here to replace Raikkonen, isn't he, Steve?
Yeah, Raikkonen's going. Giovinazzi, no one really knows where he's going to be, if he's going to be in F1 next year. I think, Bottas would soundly beat Giovinazzi.
You think?
I think he would. Because I think Bottas is going to have sort of a hunger reignited in him, probably one that he first had when he came to Mercedes before that got sucked out of him. And he's going to want to build that team around himself, whereas Giovinazzi's going to want to build it around him because he's the younger guy, Italian driver, Italian team. Bottas is going to want to reinvent himself as a driver and sort of rekindle that fire, I suppose. So the fight is going to be a good fight. If it is those two next year, it's going to be a good fight between them. That's for sure.
Well, Alfa Romeo have finished 8th for the last couple of seasons in the constructors, so they're a team that are, hoping obviously Bottas can be a difference maker and take them another step forward. I've got a little article here that lists some people that if it is Giovinazzi or not. So I'll give you the names here, and you can both give me your reaction. I'll start with yourself, Neil. It says that Giovinazzi needs to get one of results under his belt to convince the team to keep him, but a flurry of names have been linked with a move, including F2 racer Guanai Zhao. I apologize if that's not correct. Former Red Bull driver Alex Albon and Mercedes Formula E champion Nick de Vries. So out of those names, which one sort of stands out? Or is Giovinazzi still the prime candidate?
I did hear a few of them names. I know there's question marks over Mercedes letting their man go to. I know Bottas is now going, but they've pretty much released him. But the De Vries is one of their youngsters, so and I know he's done well in the Formula E for him.
Formula E, yeah.
Yeah, I did hear that there was more chance of him going to Williams than there was him going to Alfa Romeo.
Of course, yeah.
Then you've got Albon. Are Red Bull interested in keeping his services?
Well, Red Bull apparently said they wouldn't stand in his way. If an opportunity came along,
that's pretty much what they said to Sainz. They were quite happy to let him go too. So I'd say that's Red Bull cutting ties with him.
It sounds like it.
Do you mean an opportunity to be the number one driver? Because if you're going to Alfa Romeo, you're not going to be. You surely aren't going as the number one. You're going as the number two teammate to Valtteri, aren't you? In the same way, Valtteri was to Hamilton.
Albon still needs to find his feet in Formula One, and he'll do a bit of a knock on for his season back because he's been out. Like Ocon had a season away, and you're always a little bit slow. I know Alonso's pretty much hit the ground running, but he's a masterclass.
He's a different gravy.
Matt Stannard says Albon to Williams, though, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to lead on to that, really. I was going to say, with a team like Alfa, you're less likely to have a clear-cut number one and number two, like you would if it was Red Bull or if it was Mercedes, Ferrari. I think with Alfa, you're probably going to have the more senior, which is going to be Valtteri in this case, and it'll probably do him good. Someone like Giovinazzi would be okay because he knows the team, but Albon, he could learn off of Valtteri. He really could. But I
do agree with Adam though. There, it will probably be a Ferrari guy,
and it would be good to see another graduate come up from Formula 2. I mean, Schwartzman and Eilert are brilliant young drivers. I mean, Guan Yu Zhou, I don't know because he's Alpine. I think he's the Alpine.
Yeah, I was about to say Renault, but it's Alpine, isn't it?
Well, yeah, if you want to be, say it's Renault. You got Schwartzman and Eilert, both Ferrari young guys. Obviously, they helped get Schumacher that seat at Haas. In an ideal world, I'd love to see Schumacher move up to Alfa because it's obviously a toxic environment to be in right now. And as much as you don't want to chuck a rookie in that team, get Schwartzman or Eilert in one of their Haas cars.
I agree with you that I think one of the Haas drivers, more likely Schumacher as he's performed better, move up to Alfa Romeo and have either Schwartzman or Eilert move into his spare seat.
That's in an ideal world. I don't think Mazepin will move because he's the one that's bringing the money to the team.
Mazepin.
And he was at it again at the weekend. He almost put Mick in the wall.
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw you tweet about it. About putting Mick in the wall, or nearly putting Mick in the wall.
Well, I saw a tweet earlier that said that Mazepin's getting a bit too much stick. I know we're sort of going off topic here a little bit from the whole drivers thing, but Mazepin's getting too much stick because he's improved his pace. Well, yeah, but he's still a danger. He's quicker, but he's just a quicker danger now.
Yeah, well, then that's worse. I'd
rather have a crash at slow speed than quick.
When you were creating that sentence and you said he's still the word started with a D, and I wondered where you were going with it.
I think we all did. I had the button ready. These are their own, not of the network. But
anyway, back on to the driver talk.
So this gets the ball rolling. Obviously, we'll go through it in more detail as the weeks go by. We may even do a show where we say top 5 look at it, names and connections. But there was a race this week, and no matter how poor of a race people may think or may say, first of all, I suppose it's the right question to ask you both is a new track. How did you rate it? Do you want it again, or do you want to put it firmly in the bin? Where are we on that one, Steve?
As a track, it's awesome. Like the sweeping corners, the banking, it looks incredible. The atmosphere, fantastic. As long as they've got Verstappen in Formula One, that atmosphere is going to be insane. As a racing circuit, not brilliant because it's so tight and twisty. There's nowhere to overtake. It might be better in 2022 with the new cars. You don't know. I'm happy to keep it on the calendar because I think qualifying especially is awesome around there, as we saw on Saturday. I think it's better than a lot of circuits that are on the calendar right now. F1 needs to go to more of those sort of old school circuits, I think.
So, a great track, but not necessarily a great race. Neil, do you go along with that, or are you a bit, I suppose, like some people that want to just, this is not going to be good today, tomorrow, or even next year. It's just not going to be good.
You mean in the bin?
In the bin.
No, not quite that far. The track's got good parts to it. It creates some interest, especially as qualifying was mentioned, and there was a bit of messing around through the practice sessions, and even in the race you had different lines happening in different corners, and that makes it interesting. It's just hard to follow people with these current cars. So I believe that if the rules do what they intend next season, it should make it a better track.
Okay.
I'd keep it. It's interesting, and the amount of fans that went there and the atmosphere was apparently electric. So that adds spectacle to it all.
Yeah, you only get a certain number of chances to impress. Before I come on to Patrick's wonderful question, do fans look at the calendar after a couple of bad races and start to duck and dive and miss the odd one here or there that they know delivers poor results? Is that something that either of you ever do? Like, look, if the wife says, let's do something, and it's a Grand Prix that delivers a bad race, do you duck and dive it, or are you there every week, diehards?
If you're properly into Formula One for several years, there's no way you miss a race. If you do, you've recorded it and you watch it and you're avoiding the result. There's no way you miss a race.
Yeah, you've done that a few times.
Years ago, many, when Sebastian Vettel was still driving for Toro Rosso back in 2008. And he just put it on pole in a Toro Rosso, which is insane, at Monza. And I had to go to a christening the next day, and I was absolutely fuming that I had to go. And I missed his first ever race win in a Toro Rosso, and that would have been insane. So, no, I watch it every race. But then there's races where I think, yeah, would I have really been pissed off if I'd have missed that? Probably not. Or if I do miss this one, it's like something like, I don't know, Monaco, for example, is usually a bit of a bore fest. So,
that's Adam,
atmosphere, really.
Good man.
Yeah, Adam hasn't missed a race since he started
That's
watching
dedication.
in 1995.
I
He
like that.
also says he goes on to say it's like Monaco in a way. Cars look great in quali trim. Sorry, need to keep tracks like this. Circuits are the worst, all clean cut and soulless.
Yeah.
Now, on to Patrick's question. I think it's quite good because it brings onto the Verstappen leading the championship. Now, Verstappen is 3 points more than Lewis. Do you think the fake race of the GP of Belgium will ultimately make the difference at the end, Mr. Stephen Thompson aficionado? You were a big fan of last week's race because it got Russell some points, but does the fake race actually start to play a part here?
A podium is a podium. No, I think that's going to take a long time to die down in the heads of fans and Formula One. I think it could, with how close Lewis and Max are. 1 week it's going Lewis's way, the next it's going Max's way. You might have a couple of weeks here and there.
Mercedes
it really could make a difference, and you can guarantee Mercedes and Lewis will be so frustrated if it comes to at the end of the year, and it's those points that cost them.
Mercedes believe that Monza's going to be more their race, and
I can see it.
It's a double header as such, isn't it, with the sprint race as well?
Oh yeah, sprint race is back. Yeah.
So he can, if they are on top, and he can win both of them, and he gets the points from the sprint race, then that claws a little bit back, and it'll nullify.
Yeah, it's
the
going to be interesting.
Absolutely awful so-called race.
And it was awful, but he's back in the lead. How do you see the championship unfolding from this point on then, Neil? Do you feel it would be a difference, or do you feel actually Max has probably got enough in the tank, but also a chip on his shoulder following a couple of collisions that actually will be the motivation that will spur him on to beat the greatest of all time?
I know Verstappen believes that Hamilton's cheated him out of points. So Hamilton, in looking at it that way, is only as close as he is because of that. If that hadn't have happened, then basically Verstappen would still be miles ahead. I think it's going to be tight. Verstappen's looking good, so
there's a lot of what ifs with this season, isn't there? Like, what if Hamilton hadn't been allowed to unlap himself with that red flag in Monza, in Imola? What if Verstappen hadn't had that tyre failure in Baku? What if Verstappen and Hamilton hadn't come together in Silverstone? It could be a really different picture. Verstappen could be miles in front by now, because those are 3 races that Verstappen could have won, where Hamilton would have either scored no points or very few points compared to him. I'm really excited about it, because I can't remember, certainly in recent years, having a title fight this close. Not since it was between Verstappen and Hamilton and Rosberg. And that was still dull because it was in the same team. This time you've got 2 teams fighting. That's what makes it even better.
Matt Stannard, Bottas passing gift. Max is still ahead at the end of the silver rocket launches once more. So that's the championship. A couple of things. First of all, McLaren, 3rd position. Is that slipping away from them, Neil? After a great start, is it starting to slip?
I believe it is. I did say all along that it will be a long shot for them to get it again. But unless they suddenly turn it around, you think when Bottas took out Norris, he was looking really good. So that was a loss of points. And then you've got the fact that he lost it into the wall, in which could have been another nice haul of points in the...
That could have been a victory.
The stupid race that wasn't a race. And
that could have been a race win.
So they wouldn't be in the position they are now.
I like that we got 2 sort of separate viewpoints a little bit here. With Russell got what he deserved, where Neil's like, ridiculous race.
Well, it was ridiculous. I mean, we said this last week. It was ridiculous. It was a complete farce. I mean, Lewis is right when he said that. But George.
Now, if you're agreeing with Lewis, then
I'm fine with George having a podium. I will happily take that. It's not quite a podium how anyone would have really wanted it.
No.
But the points are there, and at the end of the day, he got rewarded for that job in quali. But yeah, Lando probably would have had pole position, and that then would have turned out to be, I'm not going to say the race win, but it would have turned out to be the win. And yeah, if Bottas hadn't gone bowling in Hungary, it just seems that sort of knocks Norris a little bit, and then he was out in Q2 yesterday, wasn't he, as well?
He got a strike, didn't he?
He did. He really did.
Wee bowling. Good strike.
It just seems that Norris has been. I don't know what to say. He seems to have changed a little bit from sort of early season. It sort of brought him down a bit. Ricciardo did really well in Belgium to pick up that fourth place.
It seems ever since that event in the Euros.
Actually, yeah, because he got
when he got mugged. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's maybe so. So what are they going to do to turn it around? Because they flew out of the traps. Excuse the pun a little bit. Patrick says that they did only 2 laps just to not refund the tickets, possibly so. But on McLaren,
and the sponsor money in.
Yeah.
But on McLaren particularly, what are they going to do then, Neil, to rescue it, turn it around? What's gone wrong?
This last race,
what's changed?
Norris was miles behind Ricciardo in qualifying, and that is never the case. So whatever happened there, Norris said it was his driving style and the track was quite gusty. He used the word blowy. And
then he spent a minute and a half in an interview just laughing.
And people love that interview. So he said
even
his
said,
driving
"I know
style
it's going to end up clipped." Yes, it is.
Yeah, he said that the gusts and his driving style didn't work together well, so that's why his qualifying was poor.
Give it its proper name, blowy.
Yep. So, yeah, I did read a quote somewhere that Ricciardo has a shoey and Norris has a blowy.
There we go. But to talk about McLaren, it's only right, Steve, that we talk about Ferrari because they excelled with the Scarlet cars taking a 1-2 in second practice. Didn't quite have the pace, maybe, but they still finished way ahead of McLaren, and they took.
You even had Gasly jump in there.
Yeah, Gasly just under the radar. P4 in the quali, P4 in the race. I'm looking down at the.
Bryce has got a point, I suppose, isn't he?
Yeah, if he can send me one of those, I'd appreciate that.
Because no point giving Neil one, he can't carry it around the hotels. Can you imagine
to
it?
Be fair,
checking in, the fucking great green screen turning up with him.
They'll be wondering what's going on.
Yeah,
I think you're some sort of movie star, pal. Sorry, but for Ferrari, they talked a good summer. And they're doing okay so far. So
they're doing all right because again, it was a slower start to the season. I think Silverstone helps. That maybe helped their confidence and their performance because Charles in the fight for the lead.
Sorry, Ad. It's only fair though. You see, if we talk about McLaren,
you can't not mention Ferrari.
You know me, I'm fair, particularly after the summer, Steve, where they just badgered on about how they're going to turn it around and be good.
Considering this car is an evolution of last year's car, and that was as quick as mine.
They didn't even do all the changes they want to. They were with what they did. They only got a few.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. What's in your luggage?
Yeah.
Are you just pleased to see me?
The luggage will be pleased to see him. Yeah.
Oh, talk about being pleased to see. This is a seamless transition, Steve, because Kubica returned.
Yeah, Robert Kubica. I'll tell you what. One thing I feel for the sort of younger people watching Formula One, maybe for the past few years. And all they've seen is Robert Kubica poodling around at the back in a really crap Williams or coming in for a reserve drive when they missed peak Robert Kubica sort of in 2008 when he actually led the championship for a bit, 2010 in the Renault. He would have been a world champion. He really would have been a world champion. He had a contract signed for Ferrari for 2012 and then he had his rallying accident.
Wheel should be a bike.
Mate, seriously, his rallying accident, if you haven't seen it, well, don't watch it.
I haven't. No, I'm a new fan, Steve, so tell me.
If you weren't familiar with it, basically, days before the 2011 season started, he went rallying and he had a really bad crash and he hit the barrier, the Armco barrier, and the Armco pierced the car and it came through the cockpit and it partially severed his arm. So if you look at photos of him now with his arm, it's always at that sort of angle, more often than not, at that sort of angle. You can see the scar where it has to be rebuilt.
Fuck about. I did not know that. I wouldn't know. Obviously, he wasn't following the sport.
He was fighting to get the use back of his hand.
Yeah.
So to have him in a car this weekend is just a magical, momentous achievement.
It was amazing because a few years back he started rallying again. A couple of years after his crash, he started rallying, and he was doing. I think did he do DTM? I can't remember. And he got test drives with a couple of Formula One teams, and then Williams offered him a race seat for 2019, and that was just, this is amazing. This guy, his racing career was over. He almost lost his arm. He's basically got 1.5 arms now because he's still got limited movement in that arm, and he's got a race seat. And it was a shame that it was in such a really poor Williams, because that was the year when they were about two. They were basically like the Haas this year. They were so far off the pace. And to see him back this weekend with a couple of days, not even a day's notice, with Raikkonen testing positive, and he did all right, I think.
Was it about between 2007, 2008 that Kubica, was that his best?
I would say so. Because he had that massive crash in Canada in 2007.
In Canada, yeah.
And then came back the following year, won the race, and after that race, he was leading the World Championship.
Yeah, mine. I would.
Amazing.
Yeah, pretty much. Them seasons I would watch just to so what this man was capable of, and
I think I will. I did honestly. I did not know any of that, so I just thought it was a driver that had been in it.
Such a huge Kubica fan back in the day.
Hit a bad run of form and left. So that's
no.
mind-boggling a little bit.
No, basically he was looking like being a title challenger, and then he chose to do rallying, and the rest is history.
It's a shame because BMW Sauber he was with in 2006, 7, 8, 9. In 2008, he was leading the World Championship, and then the team shifted focus for 2009 and cost him the shot at the World Championship because other cars were still developing. And the Sauber stopped. And then 2009 was an awful car anyway. And that cost him. And he had this contract signed for 2012 at Ferrari. It would have been Fernando and Kubica at Ferrari. What a team that would have been. Days before the 2011 season.
So is that still a common thing then? Or do they now have into contracts how you can't undertake certain things? Because I know for in an NFL, for example, they have some things written in contract that you can't go mountain hiking or anything that might cause an injury. So is that now written into contracts?
I always knew back in the day that you couldn't go quad biking. You couldn't do. There was all sorts of things that you couldn't do. It seems very almost as if that they don't do that anymore, because Alonso had his cycling accident. So that's another thing you could say don't do.
Yeah.
I know there was some shenanigans. Yeah, shenanigans with Juan Pablo Montoya. Apparently had a tennis accident.
Yeah, it was quad biking.
There was all sorts that's happened really, but no, I remember back in the day there was things that people weren't allowed to do, and the fact that at McLaren you don't even keep the original trophies. The team keep all of those, and you get a copy.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things like that with different teams, but now it seems a lot more relaxed. I don't know if there's drivers' rights, and we should be able to do whatever they want to do. So,
or just expectation, maybe. I don't know. It seems strange, really, to me. That
if I was the team, I'd say, well, we'd rather it's up to you if you want to do it. You're an adult. We're not
you got money invested in them, Steve.
It's a tricky thing, isn't it? Because if you've got your star driver, Robert Kubica, he was at Renault, or Lotus Renault as they were in those days. And the 2011 car was looking decent in pre-season testing. It really fell away throughout the season, but he could have won a couple of races sort of early on because they got some podiums in the first couple of races. And he's your star driver, and you let him go rallying, and well, you lost him. He almost lost his life.
Was it that bad?
Well,
have you seen Matt's comments?
So. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Bottas, would you believe Bottas isn't allowed to go 10-pin bowling?
That's brilliant.
Wow, so it's good to see him back then, Adam. It seems to be since personalized numbers came in, drivers can market themselves better, so they now have more power in contract negotiations. Speaking of contract negotiations, or not as the case will be, a certain person is leaving F1, and we can't do justice in this 60 to 90 seconds that we've got left in the show. So we're going to do our own special show about this driver, but it would be amiss for us not to mention it. So Kimi Raikkonen will be retiring, will be leaving the Formula One, retiring from driving or just retiring from F1, because I'm starting to learn as my fandom grows that can mean two different things in this world.
He's, I think, going more into his family life. He says he's at a stage now where there's more to life than just motorsport. He's enjoyed what he's done, and I don't think it's the end of motorsport for him. He'll end up doing probably some GT or Le Mans, or there'll be some, or he might even do some rallying. But
he does enjoy rallying, and he's done rally before,
Yeah.
hasn't he?
Yep. So I think that's more what he's likely to do.
So what are your
And his
thoughts as
boys
he leaves?
karting, so
His boy
he
is.
might even So I think there's some other family members, cousins and things, but yeah, he might even help them.
It's going to be a shame to lose him because he's one of the old school drivers, isn't he? He just says what he thinks. He suffers no fools. He just wants to get in the car, drive, go home. He doesn't have any time for the media bullshit that you get forced to do week in, week out. And I love that. Like when someone said, "Oh, Kimi, you crashed over there. What happened?" He went, "Well, I crashed." Well, you asked him, okay.
They asked some stupid questions in press conferences, and then they look at the drivers and go, "Who's going to answer it first?" And it's normally a really long-winded question that you've lost where the plot of the question was even going. And then they'll go, "Well, who wants to answer it?" And then they'll pick on Kimi and say, "You first." And he's like, "No, you're right."
Yeah.
Patrick Martin, Kimi is one of the last legends of this sport. Never stop drink, never stop enjoy his job, never stop swearing on the radio.
Absolutely.
Do you remember in Monaco when he retired from the race and then he went onto his boat?
Yeah, he just went and sat on his boat for the rest of the race. And he fell off it, didn't he? It was at a different year. He fell off his boat and landed on his head. Because he did a show on, so he went on Top Gear when they had him on there. And Clarkson's talking to him and goes, "Well, didn't someone fall off his boat and land on his head?" He went, "Yeah, it was me." While the race is still going on. But yeah, he is up, like Patrick said there, he's one of these sort of dying breed of F1 drivers that still says what they feel and doesn't really care about the repercussions.
Old school.
Yeah.
There was
very James Hunt.
Yeah, another race where what was it? Was it weather was messing around and there was a hoo-ha over whether it was going to restart or not. And Raikkonen just went to the fridge or the freezer to get an ice cream out.
Yeah.
And he just went off and had that. So he had made up his mind. Yeah,
it's a solid race anymore.
I look forward to doing a show with you both where we can look at Kimi in a lot more detail, some of his best moments, funny moments, because it sounds to me like I've come in a little bit too late, and I've missed out here on a really, really great bloke.
You missed absolute peak Kimi Raikkonen. You really did. He could have had and he should have had more than one world championship. He should have had at least two or three.
It's more that we've been really lucky with quality drivers of this period because there's so many you could say deserved more championships.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not all of them that we've had could have enough. So.
Yeah, well, this is it. Not everyone can win it. Matt Stannard just realised there's a smoke detector on Neil's ceiling, not a fly on my screen.
Which side is it? Yeah, this one just somewhere. Yeah.
So as we close,
I'll get it right there.
You look like you're in a room that we've seen before, Steve. Doesn't he? He looks like we've seen that sort of layout of room before. Where are we in the country this evening, Mr. Neil Miles?
I'm in Maidstone.
Mate, that's a new. I think you've been there before on the show. That's a new one. I hope they're treating you well, looking after our main man. So as we close, a big thank you to all the guys and girls that watched us over the last couple of weeks. As I've said to the guys in our WhatsApp group, 25% viewer increase. So thank you for watching, but thank you both for delivering a really great show that is obviously solid week after week and is grabbing people. And it's great to see again. Matt Stannard, great show, guys. Super chat in honor of Kimi. Go and make the donations £5. I'm not sure what the last bit means, but thank you very much for the super chat. That means a lot. And that came at quite a good moment because obviously we were celebrating there your solid weeks. I do think when shows start to grow, it's because the people on it, particularly you two here, are good, honest, but enjoyable listens. So well done to you both. I've embarrassed you now, so I'll let you lead us out, Stephen Thompson, as we say thank you to Matt Stannard again. Thank you ever so much.
Yes, thank you very much, Matt. Great to see you again, as always. Great to see you getting involved. Got new people commenting as well. Love it. So, great to see the viewer numbers increasing. Great to see more comments. It's awesome. Obviously, can't do it without you. So, We'll also be back at 7:15 next week after the Italian Grand Prix. I said it was Italy last week. It's not. It's obviously this week. I noticed that as soon as we finished. It's like, oh, shit. So, yeah, sprint race round 2. Hopefully it'll be good. And hopefully we get a decent Italian Grand Prix.
Perfect.